Noted.
Right here, Scott, is the part that you need to take out. Not going. Because we don't have the problem is we don't have an intro song like you do. So when I want to share the thing, I just sit here and it's dead silence.
Why don't we have an intro song?
I should make one, I guess.
I think we need to get one.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk to Tyler about helping me come up with something. It's Big E and he's on a venture. He's telling jokes and hitting on girls. I don't really hit on girls that often, to be honest with you. But anyway, hey, hey, you're listening to the Big E Comedy Venture podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Fady. I'm a podcaster and Michigan area stand-up comic. I'll be taking 2022 to travel around America with the goal of exploring the country while also trying to perform stand-up comedy at least once in all 50 states. This podcast is a weekly show where I'll be sharing my experiences from being on the road throughout this crazy adventure. But because I can be someone who tends to ramble a bit and could use help reining in some of my storytelling once in a while, I've asked my good friend Amy to be my virtual co-host / sidekick for this wild ride. What's up, Amy?
What's going on?
Not much. I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I only say this: we're in a very nice timeshare that I thank God, Mr. Kennedy, my friends, Mr. Kennedy, hooks us up with. Our Charleston one was nice, right downtown, but most of these, like, nothing against Blue Green, but they're kind of old people, resorts.
Yeah,
they're not a younger, hipper crowd.
Yeah.
So it is kind of interesting. I don't know why I mentioned that, but I did.
Well, what's
anyway,
going on? You're just like living your best life, getting spaghetti made for you. Right
I know.
now.
Yeah, spaghetti
By
is
your
being
husband.
made by my my travel husband, or my we've been calling ourselves, and Tyler needs to write a song about this eventually here, but we've named it like hotel roommates, just because I think remember I mentioned that song because it's like we're roommates, but not in any traditional sense of like we sharing an apartment. The location changes every few days. So
does he want to kill you yet?
Well, I will say this. It's okay. I will ask him. Scott, the question is, do you want to kill me yet? No. Me and Scott did.
Hey, just so you know, his voice just went up about like 5 octaves higher. Like, no.
That's how Scott talks. She was saying that your octave went up, and sometimes that's a sign of people lying, I think. But that's how Scott tends to talk. I will say, and I wasn't going to bring this up, to be honest with you, but we did have me and Scott did have a little bit of a moment driving from, where was that, to Charleston. We were driving somewhere to Charleston, and we were having a little bit of a discussion. And the thing with me and Scott and I is that we're very similar to each other in this sense, and we both like to, we don't give up easily if there's a discussion being made.
Right.
And we were having a heated discussion, and it just hit a pass where at one point it just went, okay, yeah. And then it was a very quiet ride for a while. Like, and when something's like quiet and it's awkward, and so then you try to say things like, so then Tyler was in the back, is like, whoa, Tyler, these gas prices are crazy. But we've made it. I mean, you're not gonna do a thing like this in close quarters and not get some tensious moments.
Sure. I am shocked that you're 3 months in. Well, 2 months in.
2 months in, yeah.
You have not had a night where you're like, oh yeah, we had to get separate rooms. Like, we're not getting.
Yeah, no, I would say anything that's happened still has been very minor things that eventually were. And I think I'll say this. I remember where we were going. So we were going to what I have these Bonvoy points, and we'd made the decision. Once a year, you get a full free room, and it's up to like 35,000 of their points, right? Which is, for context, the times I've used Marriott points with my points, we've gotten rooms for like 10,000, 12,000. So 35 usually means if you spend it, you can get a really nice place. And we had to go up to Charleston, so I got a place in Hilton Head because I always hear people talk about Hilton Head.
I love Hilton Head. Oh my God!
Did not realize though it was mainly an 80-year-old golf resort. I thought, I hear about it all the time. They mention drinking. It's probably a party area, kinda.
Yeah.
So the point of saying that is like something happened in the car pretty early in that drive. And it was like not until we were driving up the Hilton Head that finally like Scott broke the tension with like, yeah, these are a pretty nice area around here. And then I just went with it because like there's no reason to be holding grudges or being mad at each other in a real way. It was, but it was one of those things I think most people are familiar with when someone finally broke the ice. And then it was just like we just talked like normal,
Who's doing the majority of the driving? You?
I do it, but that's because I love driving.
Yeah.
I just love, and I'm also very anxious. I have an anxiety with other people driving.
I'm the same way. I would be driving the entire time.
Yeah.
And driving doesn't bother me. And I'd rather be in control.
The only reason I don't drive the whole time is I have started. I know I've referenced this last week, and I know some people, if you hear these things, you might, anxiety. This is a lot of stuff. Like I'm doing my role in the group a lot of times is, looking up the rooms, looking up the places that we're going to go see and stuff like that. And my point is like, to the extent that I don't drive all the time, it's only because I need to relieve some of that tension at some point. Like I need to sometimes just sit there and calm down because I'm really always doing something. So
but I feel you.
No, Scott drove a lot the other day. In fact, thank God, because I'll get into it when our 7-hour drive from Orlando to here, which we did not need to do. And in fact, I guess I could just get into it. It's not chronologically in order, but because it came up organically, I'll say. We ended Charleston, and unfortunately, our friend Tyler had to go home for a little bit for just kind of a family emergency. Luckily, it's all good. He looks like he's already booked a flight back, so he's going to be back here. So it's all good.
Nice.
But because of that, we had a weird thing where we were leaving Charleston on Saturday morning. We didn't have to be into Myrtle Beach till Monday, and we didn't really have anything to do. And with Tyler gone, also, it was like, what are we gonna do? And I had kind of got Scott a little bit into this AEW wrestling.
Okay.
And there was a big pay-per-view, like for anyone that watches wrestling, a pay-per-view is like a big one, like big time storylines. And I was watching the show on Wednesday, a little buzzed. And then I was like, we went out to the bar afterwards, and on the walk, I told Scott, I'm like, I'm buying this pay-per-view on Sunday. Like I haven't bought a pay-per-view in a long time. I'm paying for the pay-per-view. Well, then when Tyler wasn't going to be around, I start looking and I go like, Orlando's only 5 hours south of here.
So would Tyler have put the kibosh on this or something?
Yeah, it's not that he would have nixed it. I think Tyler would have done it if I told him I really wanted to do it. But I would never even considered it with three of us because I would have considered I don't know how to explain it. I just wouldn't have. Okay. It was more like what I told him is like, with Scott, I was like, with Tyler gone, it kind of felt like there is a void. We've really, as much as we went a little talking about us like, having a little bit of a heads button or whatever, we've had such a connection. Like we've all really bonded way more than I thought. And with one of us not there, it seemed like if we could do something really big to have fun, it would be like kind of a good distraction or a good like way to like kind of like with him not there, just something to do. Right. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, and Scott kind of was like, yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, I would be down. And I really needed a father figure, to be honest with you, to tell me, no, this is stupid. Because the thing is we had to be up in Myrtle Beach by Monday, and by driving 5 hours south, that made it a 7-hour drive Monday to get here. And we're not going to get a hotel room on Monday because why would you spend money when if you get there, you have a free room, right? So, I mean, it was really essentially almost a borderline 10-hour detour to watch a wrestling, which I still had to buy tickets for, by the way, in a secondhand market. It wasn't like they were.
And I always just harken back to the fact that you wouldn't spend like $6 on an Uber
that is a good point.
Trip.
Well, me, I'm very ride high, go big or go home guy. Like I'm the person, you're right. I'm the person who will, almost yell at somebody if they throw a dime out the window. Like, dude, we have a change cup. Yeah. But then it's like all in nowhere. You're right. I drove 10 hours out of the way.
Splurge.
Gas money going up like a motherfucker. And then buying tickets off the secondhand market. Plus there's $8 beers. Plus, all the other shit. Like if we had just, miles in the car and all this stuff. But I mean,
I have a random question.
Yeah.
Have you noticed at gas stations in other states that they do that cash credit thing where it's cheaper if you pay with cash?
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen.
Someone told me that was like a Michigan thing. And so
I feel like I've seen it. I will say this. I use this app that you look on your phone and you look around and they give you like cash back. So like a lot of times, like just yesterday, for example, gas at some place we were at was I think fucking 4.05, and through this app I got it like 3.88.
Oh, that's
and so you
good.
still pay 4.05, but then it goes
called?
into let's give them a plug.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting.
It's Get Upside.
Oh, okay.
Get Upside, yeah. Get Upside. And so yeah, it works really well. Like there's one in town I already looked here where gas is like I think whatever, and I think in this app it's like 3.65 or something.
Damn,
so
I paid $4.29 today.
It's crazy. I don't want to even talk about it. Almost
insane. Yeah, nice time to be on a fucking road trip. Right?
There's a lot of things going to grocery stores and stuff. They're like, you know what's funny? I don't think I would notice the food and all this stuff if it weren't for what we're doing. Ironically, COVID is kind of the reason I was able to save up for all this, and now because of the backdraft of it or whatever, people think, I don't want to get into what the real reasons are, but no doubt it's somewhat COVID related, and the fact that like us shutting down the economy and shit. But anyway, it is what it is. I will say this: the wrestling show ended up being awesome, and for anyone that doesn't know Scott like I know him, he got super into it. Like, I mean, he was chanting, he was standing up, making the sounds when someone gets hit, like oh and shit like that.
How many people were there?
I mean, it was full on sold out. It was not a big arena. Like the thing with the AEW, for anyone that doesn't know, it's like an underground. Even though I know they're big enough that they're on regular TV now and they do have pay-per-views, it's the underground kind of version though of the WWE. So they don't have as big of an audience. But right now, and not to get too nerdy into it, people are very upset with the WWE, their program, how they're doing it. And AEW is much more exciting, much more adult-themed content. And so I'm guessing probably 10,000. I mean, it was essentially a college basketball stadium in Florida, but I mean, it was full on sold out. And the energy was, Scott personally said he'd never been to an event in his life that he'd sensed such an energy in a crowd. Like,
wow, well, that's pretty cool.
So it was really, really fun. I mean, it's funny. We talked about it afterwards. I kind of had a little of an anxiety attack. I've had a few of these on the trip. I've had to kind of start dealing with. I have anxiety anyway. I found this out. I have anxiety anyway, and so the reason when Amy, I said how dumb it was is like not only talking about the 10 hours, but then for some reason, every whole fucking hotel on the East Coast was like booked up. So at one point, Scott had to drive, and I spent 2 solid hours looking for hotels. And not that they were all sold out, but it was like if they weren't like full on $185, $200 nights, right? Like and then anything under 100, you'd look at it and just shady as fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So finally, like after 2 hours of driving, I found one in our area that was like still like $130, and there's nothing special. Like, but it wasn't.
Well, it's prime spring break time, so.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think about that. So like that's my point. Like when we were leaving the AEW thing, it was awesome. But it was also like, oh my God, 7 hours tomorrow. What was I thinking?
Oh
I spent more than the tickets than I planned on because I wanted good seats. Because if we're going to drive that all fills into it, Amy. If you're going to drive 5 hours and do all this, you don't want to be sitting behind this, the thing. And anyway, it was awesome. But we all agree. But me and Scott both agreed that I shouldn't have done it in reality. Even though it was awesome and I loved it. And when I'm watching things on my Facebook the next day about like videos from the thing, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I was there. Yeah. But we also agreed that it was the wrong decision and I shouldn't do it again. So.
Well, you got it out of your system.
Right. No,
you're allowed to have one of those a quarter.
Well, no, you know what? And it made me realize, like, I have, people know my love of Pat Green. And it made me realize, like, at times I've started to look, could I see him again? Even though I've even seen him on this trip already. But, like, could I see him again? Could I see him again?
Are you seeing him?
Well, I don't think this is my point though. Like I've looked and I said to myself now, it's like, no, if it would not be like, oh, we're in Oklahoma and this is where he is. I couldn't do it. Whereas before this WWE thing, I think I still might've been like, well, I could leave them in, Louisiana. I could fly to Dallas. And now I'm like, no, do not do that. It won't be good for you. And it won't be good for the thing, the journey. So
the journey.
And then I'm going to get into Charleston, which was incredible, but I'm going to get into the things that I think you'll be best at talking about. And that is two female situations. Two female situations.
Oh God.
So we go out to the bar the one night. I stayed in.
This is Charleston.
Charleston, yes. And I stayed in because I said to them, like, I need a night, blah, blah, blah. Well, then the problem is I go up to this rooftop bar and some dude, not in a sexual way, some dude buys me 3 beers because he finds out what I'm doing. Like, oh, you guys are doing this, and we're talking about it. He's like, he's buying me beers. Then I go back, I watch AEW, and I start drinking more beers. And so Tyler and Scott went out to do like a spoken word / music open night, because Tyler does actual songs too, not just comedy. And I finally text him now, Buzz, like, hey guys, I looked up. There's a place that does karaoke tonight. You want to go?
Oh my God.
And we all love karaoke.
Yeah.
And so we went to karaoke, and this is where, Amy, you think that I'm hiding something, but I don't know how to tell you how this went and how maybe it could have gone better. But I literally walk in, and within minutes, some girl, decently attractive, comes up to me and just says, "You're cute. Are you single?" And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, right. Sounds good, right?
What did she look like?
I don't fully remember. She was definitely not unattractive. She was a good looking. I mean, Scott, do you remember at all what she looked like? Or she was cute. He just said she was cute. I mean, she was definitely good looking. Good looking for me. Like, I would consider
blonde hair.
Was it brown or blonde? Brown. But
was she in the overweight category?
Amy, look at even though I'm not a ladies' man, I cannot deal with fat chicks. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I have. Yeah. Well, alcohol can do a lot of that. Oh, but you're saying,
she wasn't fat.
No,
she had brown hair.
No, she wasn't fat. She had brown hair. But so we started talking and quite a bit, and she was in town for a work convention, which was even better, right? Like, she's not even a resident, and she's just in town. And the thing is, though, for me, I'm so self-conscious and insecure that even with this girl coming up to me and just talking to me, I'm like, I still was like, well, gotta play it cool. Don't want to look too clingy or this or that. So I kind of like,
is not the time to play it cool. You're there for a night. She's there for a night. Make it work.
I know. So anyway,
and like, so you're never gonna see her again.
I know, Amy. I don't know. So anyway, you're right. So we talk a little bit, and eventually we're walking together, and we walk over, and she's sitting on this stool. But the problem is, then there's this other dude there, and I think he was gay. And I'm not just saying that. I think he was gay. So it's not like I was even like, oh no, what's this? But like, it was someone she worked with in the like the wine industry or something, right? Okay. And so then I'm kind of just standing there, and I don't really know what to do. And she's talking to him now, and I'm like, oh, shit, I can't. I'm too stupid to leave. So awkward. And so I walked back to my friends for just a split second to kind of be like, blah blah blah. And she falls down from her stool onto the floor. She's very drunk, by the way, very drunk. And so she literally falls on the floor off her stool. And I still eventually am like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I walk over there, and at one point I bought her a beer, even though like she definitely didn't need another beer. But I said like, oh, it's funny because I worded it like, oh, maybe you don't want one now, but like, did you want a beer? Because I wanted to be like, you're obviously hammered, but do you want a beer anyway?
Oh my God. How old is she?
I have no idea. And she told me, but I don't remember. But so I buy her a beer, and then she starts kissing me like in the bar, and then
out of nowhere?
Yes. And then, Amy, this is where I'm telling you. You think I'm saying something to like, you'll think I'm telling you this part to like, make myself look good or hide or what. I was not blacked out drunk, by the way. I was drunk, but not that drunk. Okay. I don't remember what happened in the sense of like, I don't know why I just let her leave. Like, so, she kissed me. She was kissing me a little bit. I bought her the beer. And then I don't know if she went to say hi to somebody and I kind of just stood there. I don't remember if I went to tell them something. I don't even remember. But at one point she left my sight, and then I just was sitting somewhere else. And then eventually I was like, oh, fuck, what happened to that girl? And then they were gone. Like, her whole group was gone. And I don't know why I didn't just be like, yo, you want to get out of here? You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
she fell down another time, by the way. I forgot about this. So twice. So I did tell my friends this afterwards. Even if I'd been like, hey, babe, you want to kind of get out of here? Like, I did say, and I'm not trying to make myself feel better, but it could have been there could have been more challenges down that road that wouldn't have just been like, for sure, getting it on.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Is it possible that like she didn't enjoy the kissing, and so she was like, I gotta get out of here?
I guess that's possible. I've been told I'm not good at all the sex stuff, but I've been told I'm actually a good kisser before. So I don't know.
You're
not by hookers or anything.
Like, all over her face or anything.
No.
Okay.
And she did fall down twice drunk. And like it was, and my point is, I said to them,
And she was there with other people.
and she was there with other
maybe
people.
Maybe they were like, "We need to get out. You need to get out of here." Like,
and that could have been
drunk.
Right. That could have been the case too. And I said to my friends, I said, in reality, even if I had said something, and I'm not trying to make myself feel better, but I think it could have very much been like herding cats. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah,
we were about 2 miles away. Like, we walked, but we were about a mile, 1.7-ish miles from our place. There's no chance in fuck I was going to get her to walk 1.7 miles, how she was.
Well, and we know you're not splurging for an Uber.
No, I would have gotten an Uber. I would have, in this situation, gotten an Uber. But my point would be is like, could I have really even held her in place like long enough? Because she was kind of like anybody that came up to her. Well, you know what I mean? Like I said, herding cats, dude. Like, I mean.
Do you remember her name? You don't have to say it, but do you remember it? Without asking.
No, I don't. I don't remember the name. And so that evening, it was still fun, by the way. We did karaoke. I don't know if you saw on Facebook. What's up? Yeah, I did get that. Okay. And then we did run into what we decided was my past self. I don't know if you saw this meme that we made, but I should show you it. There was this kid, younger college kid, that looked just like a younger me.
Oh, boy.
And my friends literally, I'll send it to you. My friends literally made almost a meme out of it. Like, Eric and past.
It would be hilarious if we could get like 3 in a row of that kid, you, and Travis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. And so we still had fun. Like I did a Billy Joel, I did Piano Man, which killed, by the way, I might add. Good. And no, but we had fun and we did that. And then all of a sudden my nose is running. I don't know what the deal. Anyway, and I'll bring up the other girl situation. So I have been on the dating apps, if you will.
Okay.
And and that night I was just whatever.
I mean, I know nothing about dating apps. So like it updates where you're at and like.
Yes, it will tell you where you're at. I usually go in there specifically and change the miles depending on the situation. And also in my mind, that makes sure that it updates where you're at. But yes, it will. It doesn't. And I'll say that mine that I created, I didn't lie in it at all. Like it really, I in a sense that like it says like full on that I'm not just in, like that I'm traveling. Like I'm with 3 buddies, I'm doing comedy. Because I didn't want any of this like, I didn't want to just pretend like I was in Michigan still or,
Was this
whatever.
Your Grindr app?
Tinder, Amy.
Oh, Tinder. Okay.
Tinder. Were you really not, Grindr's the gay one, right?
I do. Was
that a joke?
It was.
Okay. But anyway, I did that. And then I wake up at like 7 a.m. because I never sleep in, even though I went to bed at 3. And all of a sudden I have someone like, oh, you got a match. Or I matched that night and it was like late at night, like 3 a.m. I like matched with somebody and I'm like, hey, what's going on or something. And I get a message in the morning and it turns out, this girl was from Ukraine, believe it or not, like originally.
Oh my God.
Yes. And that's what makes it kind of interesting.
Don't even tell me that you have a Russian bride now.
No. But she was from Ukraine originally and we started talking and stuff. And then we did end up going, I guess, on a Tinder date in the end.
So is she local?
She lives there. Yeah, she's lived in Charleston for a few years, and she's been at. I don't think we actually got into our actual ages, but I would know that she moved to the U.S. when she was 25, and based on some things she said, like she lived in Alaska for 4 years, DC for a few years. She came over as like an au pair, like what I mean.
Of course she did.
Right. And so. So based on what I know, my guess is she's in her 30s, mid 30s probably, but I don't really know 100%.
Do you have a super heavy accent?
Yes, absolutely. And it was funny because when we were on Tinder, we were talking a little bit, and then finally it got to the point where I was like, she kind of said, well, have fun time. Like it didn't go, and we were talking, and it was fine. But then she's like, well, have a fun time in town and stuff like that. And then I had to finally throw it out there, like, well, I don't know what you're up to, but if you want to catch up and get a drink or something.
Yeah.
And so then we started texting. She gave me her actual number and we started texting and she was sending me like voice text things, you know what I mean? Those little messages. And so, yeah, it was, and I will tell this, Scott and them know this about me. Like I'm very suspicious of the idea of Tinder, even though I'm on it. Like I always assume that possibly like, is this just some guy pretending I'm going to get there and get robbed or, you know what I mean? Like I'm very weird about it. I don't almost trust it very much, even though I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And so eventually it did come out and we did. And then she lived about 15 minutes north of downtown.
Okay.
So I drove and I picked her up and we went downtown for like dinner and stuff. But I would say one thing that I think really hurt me is she doesn't drink or do drugs at all. Which, I mean, I'm just, for me.
Yeah, they have to be impaired in some fashion.
I'm not saying they have, I'm not talking about a Bill Cosby situation, but like damn
it, she didn't like Quaaludes.
I know, right. Yeah. But it's like, and I would say in general,
you're just saying that you don't think that you're worthy of someone if they're sober.
No, what I'm saying is with my game level and being like being in a situation where you're trying to make it happen right there.
Yeah.
I don't trust my looks or my game level.
You don't have what it takes to close the deal
in a sober situation. I don't believe so. No, not in a.
You need time to.
I need time. I'm saying like actually, and we're still we've texted a little bit since then, and I don't think anything whatever, but very little. But my point was, for example, I'll tell you what happened. Like, but we had it was a very fun time. We went out to this place right by my place. We got food. I still did have a few beers. I had 2 beers. And there was some music playing, and we went on about an hour walk around the city. And I will say, I told my buddies, like, again, I'm not Mr. Charisma exactly with some of this stuff. And so like, I don't know when I'm supposed to like, oh, should I make this move?
This is where you being on the spectrum.
Yeah. And I kept looking at her and she kept like putting her hands like she was having a fun time. Like we were laughing. For sure it was fun. But like I kept looking over and she kept having her hands like in her like coat pockets. So I didn't like feel like there was I felt like if she wanted me to do something, it would have been more obvious. But yeah, I could be wrong. That one
chick that was like holding your hand while you were walking.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong.
So did you make out with this chick at all?
No, we literally just did dinner and then we went on the walk and then I kind of took her back. I mean, it still took a long time. I think we were out together for probably like 4 hours or something.
How awkward are the goodbyes? I can only imagine. Well, you didn't have goodbyes with the others. They just kind of left.
This was very awkward because I really didn't get, Tyler and them actually saw her because like the place we went to was just in our hotel room and she gave me these little gifts, or not my hotel room. Sorry. It was in our hotel building. Yeah. It was connected. My bad. Right. And so she actually gave me these little gifts. Like she brought like 50 postcards of Charleston and she said, oh, you can pick a few if you want. And then she gave me some jam, I guess, that she either made or something. And so the point is I was like, oh, I'm going to bring these up to my room first, just so I don't have, before we go on this walk, because I don't want to, whatever. And I will say that was where I said, like, do you want to come up and check it out at all or no? And she's like, no, I'll stay down here. I'm like, okay, that's, you know what I mean? And so, because to me, if someone really was like, oh, I want to jump that shit, I feel like that was her opportunity, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
So
well, what? I will say this, E, and I think if you had a guy co-host, they would probably have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Part of me is just giving you a hard time, but I would say a woman who has been in many uncomfortable situations, that I have a lot of respect for someone like you who doesn't push it. You're trying to read the situation. Like, you knew that she said no earlier. And so like, to me, like as a woman, I appreciate that because it's like, I don't want to have to turn him down again.
Right. And to be honest
read the room.
Right. And to be honest with you, Amy, that's where I said, like, to me, that's why in a way this is hard with a one night out of town situation to me where we're meeting up. It's like, and she doesn't drink. That's what kind of, not because I want to take advantage of someone, but like, it's just hard. And I would say on my end, not trying to be a pussy about it, but like, if it's obvious, that's one thing to me, but if it's not, I don't know. And honestly, on this trip, it was just a fun time anyway. Like I talked to her about what it was like living in Ukraine and what she thought about what was going on right now. And I don't want to get, too much into that, but I'm just saying, I really, on this trip, and in general, I was talking to the guys about it. Like, I don't go on a lot of dates.
Yeah.
So it was almost probably it was like, I think a good thing for me just to even kind of do something.
But good practice.
Right. And it was fun. I mean, if you just took the idea of like, if you don't fuck, it's not worth it. If you go with that, then I guess it wasn't worth it. But if you go with
let me pull up the Detroit Cast episode like 95, where you early on, and I vividly remember you saying like you would never have a friendship with a girl. There is no point. There is absolutely no point because if you're not having sex, what is the point?
Right. But this isn't a friendship though. Like my thing on this would be is like this was an experience for a night.
But you wouldn't have even done that. It would have been like if I don't have a chance to fuck this chick, I'm not.
But see, I would say I would have thought going in. I didn't know if there was a chance though, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know going in.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. And in the end,
you and I are friends.
Well, we're friends now. I mean, so obviously,
Which is just, it always just makes me laugh because I was the definition. I was the poster child of everything you hated wrapped into one.
Oh, I know. Yeah. For anyone that listens to this and doesn't know our relationship, you're right. Amy, a blonde, attractive girl who fucking, in my opinion,
it killed you to say that.
who got married on Mackinac Island and worked for the Tigers as a dance team. You would have been my arch. I would have had a picture of you with like shooting darts at you.
I know.
Like, I mean, you're right. And then we'd be, yes. So people grow and evolve, Amy. I'm like a plant.
You're a very good friend. You're a very good friend.
Yes. Plants grow, right? You know what I mean? They don't just stay a seedling their whole life. So but like you said, like honestly, I just feel, even though I know I'm not that as much of an aggressive person as some guys can be, I still feel like the times in my life when it happens in those situations, it was obvious. And I just didn't feel personally. And like I said, the guys actually met her in the end because even though I went up to bring the stuff down, they pretended like it was an accident. But I went to bring the stuff. I'm like, oh, and then we're about to go on a walk. And all of a sudden we went out the hotel room. They're like, oh, Eric, we were just going out to smoke or something. And,
oh my God.
But the point is they saw her. And when I said this afterwards, they said she had kind of a wholesome vibe to her. Like even when I got back from my dropping her off, I said, hey, I just got back. Thought I'd let you know I parked or whatever. Had a really good time, yada, yada. And like her text, for example, was like, yo, I had a good time too. And, thanks for being a gentleman or something. Like, I'm not saying that means that. Again, I don't know.
No,
you get
yeah, but it matters though.
You get a T-Roy in the situation. I don't know. Maybe if I can just mix it happen or something. But that's not me though. it's just not me. Even though Well,
I'll tell you, I'm not ruling out the fact that you're going to be on 90 Day Fiance. I'm not ruling it out. With a Ukrainian.
You know what you said about you want to know what's funny about this? It's funny that you mentioned that, by the way. And I wouldn't have brought this up, but just you mentioning that. Oh no, this wasn't her. We heard a comic though. We heard a comic in Charleston. She was really funny, and she was from Sweden or maybe Sweden, I think, or something. She had an accent herself, but she had moved into the area, and she was doing comedy. And she did a joke that when she came over to America, she thought like, oh, there'll be all these guys and stuff like that. And then she's like, because I watched that, and then she said that what I didn't realize, and when I got over here, I found 90 Day Fiance, and I'm like, all the guys over here that are on 90 Day Fiance, like all the American girls have already said no to them. That's why they're dating. That's why they're dating these Swedish girls. It was a very funny joke, and I didn't do it justice, and I don't remember her name, but like she was a
like
comic.
The bottom of the barrel men.
Yeah. She was literally like, she's like, oh, they're on 90 Day Fiance dating, Sweden girls because all the American girls have said no or something like that.
Right, exactly.
So like I said, like I didn't do her joke justice, but she was very funny. But it was a fun time. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. So we did that. I did the wrestling thing. I guess that's kind of what I had. I mean,
so you're in Myrtle Beach right now.
We're in Myrtle Beach right now, and my buddy, like I said, Tyler is back home, but he's going to be back soon. Scott and me are going to be doing comedy tonight, and then, like, what's funny? Again, life on the road stuff. Like today, we spent most of the day like kind of doing a full reset of the van, for example, like pulling shit out. We took it to the vacuum cleaner in place and did cleaned it up and trying to like organize shit because shit just gets thrown around. You get lazy eventually, throw your stuff in there. By the way, I should mention before we get going, more people keep giving money, which is really cool. Like honestly, it's not every day, but it's like every a few times a week I wake up to like a text from Venmo saying that we've gotten some money. So
someone asked me for your Cash App the other day. They messaged me on Twitter.
Okay.
And they were like, I wanted to donate to Eric.
I have a Cash App. Yes, I do. Let me see if it's I think it's just my name, but let me see.
Just Eric Fady. I looked it up.
Okay. Did they what was their name? Yeah. Because someone sent me $10 on Cash App.
It was probably her.
Okay. Yeah.
Terry.
Yes, that's where it came from. Oh man, that's awesome. So that's not even a listener. That's a Detroit cast person, which would be most of my reach.
Yeah.
So it came from you on. That's awesome.
Someone
well, thank you
on Twitter. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know if she listens or not, or if she just sees you on Twitter, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's really awesome.
For sure.
My name, it's Eric, Eric. F is in Frank, ADIE, is my Venmo. It's the same, I believe, in Cash App essentially too then. And if anyone wants that listens to this and doesn't have those or whatever, you can text me always 248-935-9241. And I'll find a way for you to give me the money. And the other thing I would say for people is we put a lot of funny little videos up on our Two Hippies, One Drunk Facebook page and stuff like that. If you can't give or you've already given, another big thing you can do is go share, not like the full podcast, because people probably won't listen to a 30-minute shared podcast, but like the minute videos that we do. Like we did one for wrestling the other day where Scott, we did a little joke where like I said like, oh, I didn't tell Scott. I told him we were going down to Universal, but really we're going to a pay-per-view. And then he came in and smacked me in the face or whatever and shit like that. So kind of like a wrestling thing. So point is like sharing even the little videos or sharing stuff like that really helps. And that's awesome that you had someone on your Twitter, which by the way, what your Twitter is?
My Twitter is awake, not woke 17. And I just crossed the 24,000 platform to,
wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Today. I know.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Good for you. Congratulations, Amy.
Yes, thank you.
You deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do.
If anyone does, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, Jesus, it was good catching up. And
Yep. I'm not trying to
next week.
Yeah, I'm trying to think just for context where we would be. So we're gonna go up. We weren't gonna do this originally, but we're gonna go up through Virginia. So we'll have gone at that point. We'll have gone somewhere around South Carolina, and we'll be somewhere in Virginia by next week.
Watch out for that trucker convoy, E.
Oh,
it's coming that way.
There was, when we were the day before we left for Orlando, like when we left Charleston, we drove a few hours, stayed at a hotel, then drove to Orlando. And there was there were some of the people, I finally, for the first time, saw some of these people. Like, by the way, I get if you like the cause, don't get me wrong. But like, it's funny because it was like Sunday morning and they're sitting on this overpass in like Brunswick, Georgia.
Right.
With their flags and stuff. And I love it, dude. I actually I do dig it. I get it.
I was thinking, like, oh man, if you weren't doing this.
Yeah.
Just still working at the Detroit Cast or whatever, it would be right
brilliant
up your alley
to
go be part of this trucker convoy, because that is like everything you're about. Cross-country trip with truckers,
right.
Stopping at truck stops.
You're right.
Everyone's America.
Right. I agree. But all I was going to say is like when I saw these people, like there was only about 5 or 6 of them. Maybe I'll be nice and say 10, but they're, no more than 10. And I get it. I get that you get passionate about something, but I'm the same. And I thought to myself, because I was just on a run in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, it's 9 a.m. on a Sunday. What you really don't want to see sleeping in or like going and getting a nice breakfast.
You gotta feel like they did something.
I guess. Like I said, I'm not a good whatever, but it's just in my mind. I think I've gotten so lazy. I would never be a good activist anymore, because in my mind, I'd always be like, yeah, I'm for the cause, but I
always think about when you went to that Shia LaBeouf camera.
Yes. Oh my God.
It was so funny.
That was the best. Hey,
one last question.
Oh, yeah.
What's the facial hair situation? Are you not shaving at all?
I haven't shaved. And I was just talking to Scott about this like about a week ago. I was like, I'm in this weird spot where I never announced that I was going to I'm going to do this, free spirit thing and not shave or cut my hair or whatever. Right. And so like, I never announced it, but I kind of was doing it unofficially. And about last week, I was like, I kind of would like to cut it.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that like, oh, I'm doing this whole thing and I'm douche. But that's kind of a douchebag thing that I've admitted that it's in my head, right? Like you're supposed to do it like it just happened.
I think people are noticing it.
Yeah.
And you're starting to look like Forrest Gump when he went on that running thing.
So the answer is, in my mind, I kind of, like I said, unofficially was like, I'm not going to cut my face hair or my hair or my facial hair or cut my other regular hair, right? Or trim, whatever. But I started talking about Scott like last week where I said like, I wouldn't mind cutting it, to be honest with you. And it's not like I've ever, now here I'm on record saying that I have thought about it. So, but at the time I had never addressed it.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
I used to be working with the ladies, so maybe you should.
That's a good point. I mean, I literally have gotten hit on.
Yeah.
A few times on this trip, technically, by the way. Yes, so you're right. So I think you're right. I think I keep it.
Yeah.
So, All right, Amy. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See you next week.
Okie doke.
Bye.